I am here with the new Tennessee State head men's basketball coach, Nolan Smith. Good morning, Nolan. Thank you for interviewing with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Perfect. So I'll get right into it so we can just kick it off and get this morning started. I wanted to kick it off strong and dive a little bit into your collegiate playing career, just a smidge. For
Yep.
those who don't know, you played at Duke and for Coach K. And under him, the men's basketball program was known as and considered still one of the best programs of all time. And he's one of the best coaches of all time. What was that experience like playing for him, and how have those experiences kind of helped shape your coaching style?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing playing for him, amazing going to Duke and being just on that campus and playing alongside so many different guys that were NBA players, winners, and all guys that wanted to play the game at the highest level. That's why I chose to go to Duke and be a part of winning. And that's probably the biggest thing that I learned from that place is how to win on and
Mhm,
off the court and how to hate losing and be obsessed with winning and
mhm.
just have that mindset. I always had that mindset growing up when I picked up a basketball. But when you go and play for Coach K and then you work for Coach K, you really learn what that's about when it comes to this game of basketball, but then also the game of life.
Mhm. And so you say the game of life. How are you going to take this head coaching position and not only help your players develop on the court for those who have aspirations of playing professionally, but help guide these young men through, as you said, life so they can come out better men on the other side of graduation?
Yeah, I love that question because for me, that's the biggest thing for me, right? Is how do I prepare them for life? Anybody that knows me will tell whoever that I'm way more than just a basketball coach. That the
Mhm.
basketball stuff is just it's what we love to do, right? But it's not who we are. It's not who I am. I'm a human being first. I'm a mentor. I'm a big brother. I'm a unk. I'm a whatever age range, right?
Whatever age range we fall into now.
Right, right. I'm all of that before I put on the head coach's hat, right? That's what this is all about. That's why I got into coaching. That's why I got into just being a servant of the Lord, and then being a servant to these players, and making sure when they leave Tennessee State, that they're known on this campus, hopefully as winners,
Mhm.
hopefully as champions. And we're going to train and live and be a certain way every single day. But the main thing is on this campus with their professors, with people in this community, with the people, the donors and the people that are part of this program. They have to know my players, and my players have to present themselves in a way that when the basketball stops bouncing, whether it's here or when they go overseas and they come back to Nashville, they come back to this campus, what are they known as? Can
Mhm.
they get a job? Can they go into an office and sit down and look a business CEO in the eye face to face and say, "Hey, I need a job. I'm done playing. I'm well ranged in this area. I can do this," and be able to say, "Hey, I remember from when you played. You were a great young man.
Mhm.
You were this. You always came in and shook my hand, looked me in the eyes. I love that about you. You've always been so professional. I would love to hire you." That's what this thing is. 'Cause at the end of the day, even for me, my basketball hoop dream stopped when I was 20. Was that 28? About 28 years old, right? And I always had the dream of playing basketball my whole life. I'm like, I'm gonna play till I'm 40,
Right
right?
till the wheels fall off.
The wheels fall off. That didn't happen. So what was I able to lay my hat on? Well, being a good person, going
Mhm.
back to Duke, being on that campus. It was a no-brainer for Coach K to bring me back on that staff. Why? Because I was a good person. People
Mhm.
wanted to be around me. That's the influence I have to have on these guys on this campus here in the years to come to make sure that when they come back, they're taken care of.
Yeah, no, because eventually the clock stops for everyone, whether it's when you're in your 50s or in your 20s, it will
Yep,
always hit zero and you need something else that you can venture into and you can't just rely on
absolutely,
playing. And
absolutely.
so not only were you brought back as a coach at Duke, but you also have experience at Louisville and as Memphis, and you've had multiple hats that you've taken on, whether that was the special assistant, the Dobo, an assistant coach. So how did those opportunities and being guided by multiple different head coaches kind of prepare you to now lead this Tennessee State men's basketball program?
I think all of my experiences gave me a world of experience.
Mhm.
As a 37-year-old, one of the youngest Division I head coaches in the country, But when I look at that, I say I'm very experienced.
Hmm.
Right? I say, well, I've been a Dobo for 2 years. I was a special assistant. I've won at the highest level. I've been to Final Fours as a coach, as a player too. Obviously, I went to Louisville. I lost there 2 years where we won 4 games and 8 games. But at the end of the day, I learned valuable lessons.
In
Being
those losses. Hmm.
right? Valuable lesson. Stepping away from Duke, getting outside of that Duke bubble, I had to learn how to move in a different area. I had to move in a not a private school environment, now going to a public school. So I was able to learn there, learn how to lose, learn how to move at a public school, learn how to get things done in a totally different environment. And that was the blessing there that I just learned a different scene than what I was used to basically my whole life. Once getting to college, then I go to Memphis, another different school, different environment, different coach, learning things. Basketball wise, all these coaches I've been around, I've learned from all of them. I've taken notes. I've had a pen in hand. I've always been watching. I've always been a sponge of the game, that player and coach, just being a sponge. So being able to be around Coach Hardaway, Kenny Payne, obviously the GOAT, Coach K. I've been around some really good basketball minds and just take it all in, and then now mold it into who I am and who I'm going to become as the head coach that I want to be and who
Hmm.
I am with this team starting this year.
Awesome. And like now we're here, right? You were named the Tennessee State head men's basketball coach. The announcement dropped on a random Friday. And I would say this announcement was pretty tight lipped. There was like very little leaks that happened when it came to this announcement. And so I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
phone, social media, email, all of it was blowing up. So what was that experience like for you and your family? Because you are married, you do have young children, knowing that this opportunity you've been working hard for, head coach, is now here.
yeah. It was a very amazing experience and rare that we were able to keep it so tight lipped. And,
It,
and
in
they,
this day and age, that never happens.
happened. So I mean, that's a testament to our AD who did an amazing job with the process. It was a quick process. A
Mhm.
couple phone calls. Dr. Allen and myself, we knew it was a perfect match on both sides with the vision that we both have to build TSU to the level that we want to build it to. But just the text, the calls, the response from all my peers and different friends and people that are like, man, hey, man, you talked about this 5 years ago, 6 years ago about how you wanted to be at a HBCU. Well, there's one thing when I have a dream, I typically know how to go get it.
Mhm.
Position myself to get the job that you want. This is the job that I wanted. This is where I wanted to be. And then just being in Nashville was just the icing on the cake that I'm in at a great HBCU in a great city with people that are hungry for this program to reach new heights.
Mhm. And so you say that you wanted to be at an HBCU. What was it? Obviously, you played at a Power Four, like very prestigious university. What was it about HBCUs that you knew this was the direction you wanted to go for your coaching career?
Yeah. So for me, I was introduced to HBCUs at an early age. My uncle played at Howard, uh,
Mm.
my uncle Reggie. So I remember stepping foot in a Howard game at a very young age. Being growing up in DC, we had AAU games at Howard. So I had the knowledge of HBCUs from a very young age. But then obviously then going to Duke, and I'm around HBCUs. Central was basically right in our backyard. Right, I spent so much time at Central with my guys Justin Lemo and Dominique Sutton, two guys that played for DC and saw my AU program. So I would hang out with them. I'd be on the yard over at Central um, all the time.
Because there's nothing like that HBCU like experience. I
There's
get it.
there's nothing like it. So I was double dipping. I got the Duke experience, but then I also got the Central HBCU experience,
Mhm.
and that's when I just kind of fell in love with HBCUs, and I started just I was like I said, always been a sponge. So even then, I was studying. I was studying kind of what was going on at Central. We had the pro-am, North Carolina pro-am at Central, where we were playing in their arena Tuesdays and Thursday nights. So I was always just watching and just loving the energy. I would go to games. I would go to the Central A&T games. I'm like, man, there's something about HBCUs that's just special. That
Mhm.
that I wish more people kind of saw and thought the way I see and think. Right? Well, when I finally got into coaching, I'm like, man, what if I went to an HBCU? What if I was a head coach at the HBCU and I just turned that thing up in a way that I know I can do. And again, there's so many great coaches that are at HBCUs now. I've reached out to all of them, talked to all of them about just everything that it takes to do it and build something special. And we all have the same mindset and love for HBCUs.
Mhm.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm in this seat. I want to just continue to shed light on our schools
Mhm.
and really just build this thing and go after players that just bring excitement to this campus and to the world and really just take HBCUs to a high championship level.
I love that. And just so you know, you guys, Tennessee State, because you're in your little PWI conference, we all cheer for you guys. Unless you're playing our own HBCU, we be like, whoop them, like get up there. Like it's like everyone roots for you guys because you're in your own little separate conference. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's so special. And that kind of leads me into my next question. So, in your press conference, you had emphasized how you want to be involved in the community, and not just the school, but the city. So, what
yeah.
does that look like for you, and how will that translate into seats being filled? Because last year, Tennessee State did rank 10th out of 11 teams in attendance. So, is that a goal for you, and how do you plan on involving the community within your program?
It's definitely a goal. Obviously, getting here mid-July, got a lot of catching up to do, but a lot of that focus has to be on the team, right?
Correct.
So not going to be sleeping much. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. And obviously being very active here, finishing out this summer, being seen, getting out in the community, connecting with people in the community, let them know obviously who I am, right? I think everybody knows the basketball stuff, right? They know what I've done, but that's not going to be enough to get them to come to these games. They got to know who I am and my heart and my vision and what it's going to take. And then one thing I'm going to continue to say is it takes a village. When you're trying to build something special, it takes a village. It takes the fans coming out. There's so many other schools in the city of Nashville that have their support. But if we don't play on the same nights, who's to say those fans of Vanderbilt and Belmont and Lisbon can't also be fans of TSU and come to our games as well. Like if y'all love basketball, you want to watch a great brand of basketball with great coaches, great human beings as coaches that are loving these kids and giving them what they need to be successful on and off the court. You're going to see them involved in the community, right? That whole thing is what goes into building a culture and building a community of support, right? That's my goal, right? That's my goal is to quickly get my staff involved. Great staff that will be announced here in the next couple of days.
I was about to be like, when are we gonna hear about the assistant coaches and all your staff?
That's getting ready to get rolled out, but a big time staff, a Power Five staff, guys with all Power Five experience, and guys that think the way I think and that are here to push the vision that I have. We all have one shared vision, and so just that's the goal here in the short time is to make sure that the Gentry Center is packed.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about it a little bit earlier in the interview, and you noted it in your press conference how you're just obsessed with winning. And I was always the type of player who I hated losing more than I loved winning. Like that's how I was raised, how I played. So, how has that mentality been established and implemented early into your culture? As you know, it's been like a little over a month, maybe like 2 days,
Yep.
especially with a team of recruits and players that you inherited because you were hired, mid July.
Yep. Yep. So I think everything we do, I got 2 weeks with this group before they went home for a couple weeks, first couple weeks in August. And in those 2 weeks, everything we did was competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Every drill in the weight room, but especially on the court, everything was competitive. 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4. Whether we're talking about defense or offense, you have to be trying to compete at the highest level when even though we're teammates right now, we're teammates and it's all love. You have to have that mentality that you're trying to win. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not trying to win every drill, then something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing we did when I walked out and I held the team up, I looked up into the Gentry Raptors and I said, "When's the last time you won a championship here?" They all knew. They all knew. A lot of them knew without looking up.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That means you already have the mindset of what this is. Second thing is, do you understand how hard it is to win? How hard it is to be a champion? If we are preseason number 1, 2, or 3, that means you have a target on your back.
Mm-hmm.
Teams that we play are going to come at us that much harder. Just me getting in this position, I understand people are going to go at me harder.
Mm-hmm.
The opposite coach is going to want to beat me, right? Just like I want to beat them, right? That's just the competitive nature, right? I love it. I'm obsessed with that. I love when somebody wants to take me out because I want to take them out 10 times harder, right? That's the mentality that we've been instilling right now, just that competitive winning culture that it takes to hang banners.
Mm-hmm. I love that because everyone wants to win, but not everyone has the mentality to do what it takes to win and
That's,
like put their self to the side in order for the betterment of the team. So
that's
I
right.
love everything you've been saying about winning. I'm like, exactly. Cause I'm like a true competitor. So I'm like, I get it.
Yes.
Um, and before in your press conference, you said, people were asking questions about recruiting and what you look for, and you stated how Tennessee State will basically sell itself. But when you're looking at for recruits in the future, I know right now you're so stuck on getting this team prepared for this season, but what qualities do you prioritize as you look to the future of this program?
Yeah. I think for me, I prioritize first character.
Mm-hmm.
I want great kids, right? Great kids that are just ready to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves, right? And the first thing that when I ask a kid, hey, what are you looking for from this? Typically, I'm gonna want to hear, Coach, I just want to win, right? And then if I win, then I'll get what I need out of this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's ultimately what this is. If we win, you're gonna get what you want, and that's what I've heard from every single player that I have right now. Coach, I want to win. I love that, right? That winner's mentality. People that are really obsessed with winning, like you said, you hate losing. That's the first thing, first, second, and third. I want winners, and a lot of that falls on character. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that mentality goes into the classroom. When you want to win, you want to be successful. That's not just basketball. That's on in the classroom and on campus too. But that's who you are. So when we're looking at kids, we're talking to kids, we're talking to their families. We'll quickly hear who they are pretty quickly, either from their mom or dad or from the player themselves. And then after that, now it's just a mindset of what that kid, how that kid thinks, how that kid moves, how tough are they, coming to an HBCU. Um, they got to have a tough mindset. Again, we're on the bus, right? We're busing to most games, right? Are you mentally tough and able to handle the bus rides? If you're somebody who can't, he's never been on a car ride longer than 2 hours, right? You got to be mentally tough and ready to get on that 6 hour bus ride, get to the city, get to sleep, wake up ready for war. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the day we all want guys that are tough minded, dogs that are ready to go.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And to this team this season, they're coming off obviously a previous coach, but they're coming off a 12-8 OVC record. They finished third. They were above 500. So, how are you preparing for the upcoming season, knowing the success they had last year? And like, what are your expectations for this team coming this 25-26 season?
Yeah, big expectations, and my expectations are always going to be big, but my expectations are what the players' expectations are, right? I have to adopt what they want, and they've told me that they want to win. They want to win a banner. Okay, so now what does that take? It takes first of all attention to detail, right? Everything that we do has to be heightened. Taking care of the ball, starting behind the line on a sprint, getting great shots, not good shots, great shots, being unselfish, all the little things that are not little things, because those little things in the big picture are big things.
Mm-hmm.
Do them consistently well over and over and over again. Every game that you have under 10 turnovers, you're going to put yourself in a great position to win the game, right? When I look back at last year's team, they lost a lot of games because of turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of turnovers. Talking to different people that played against last year's team, it was the turnovers that really kept them from winning more games. And Coach Collins did an amazing job with building this year's team and getting last year's team to where they were, and they were very close.
Mm-hmm.
They're very close to getting where they wanted to get to. So when I talked to all these guys, I said, look, if you want to be a champion, the champions do the little things right every single day. In practice, in the weight room, on the track, every single day, who are you going to be? There's no on and off switch with being a champion. So if y'all want to be a champion, we flip that switch on and you keep it on.
I love that. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, because like you have the championships, regular season, national, like you have acquired all those things. So I'm like, Why wouldn't you guys listen to him? He's been to where you want to be. And especially, I do want to note, like, you were a first round NBA draft pick. And so, like, you have that experience as well to draw off of playing professionally. And so I just want to do a quick rapid fire questions, just the first thing that pops to your mind. So, dress up or casual on the sideline for this season?
Casual.
Casual. I feel it. The younger coaches usually go the casual route.
Casual.
Favorite artist or album of all time?
Lauryn Hill, Miseducation.
Okay. Win in a thriller OT or a blowout dominant win?
Blowout, dominant win.
Okay. So that's just three quick ones I wanted to get out there. Oh, last one. If you could have played at any HBCU back in your, college era, who would you have played for?
That's a trick question. TSU. TSU. 100%.
Well, thank you so much, Coach Smith, for joining me today. I really look forward to covering your team and seeing the success you have in year one as a head coach for Tennessee State. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.